Hello once again. This is part two of my double bill review of Cavalleria Rusticana and I Pagliacci, which were shown at the Deutsche Oper Berlin. And this time I'll be talking about I Pagliacci. Now, there's a legend about this opera based on Ruggero Leoncavallo's childhood, in which he witnessed a murder that happened in Calabria. And because of that, throughout his adulthood, he was basically inspired to write an opera about this. He was also the one that did the libretto. And there we have Pagliacci, a very shocking tale of faithless love among Commedia dell'arte troops. And it was very interesting. This was basically the very opera that made the great Enrico Caruso very famous because of the fact that he's performed Canio hundreds of times in various opera houses and has basically made a household name for himself in the role of Canio. Along with many other tenors, basically his successors like Corelli, Del Monaco, Domingo, Carreras, every other great tenor has been very identifiable with the role of Canio, especially in his aria Vesti la Giubba, which has become a household name in terms of not only opera in general, but also pop culture. I mean, you basically hear this aria whether you watch a cartoon or a movie or any other form of entertainment that's either on TV or film, or even web original series, so to say. So, with that out of the way, let's get on with the review. Now, the opera didn't start with the usual prologue, but it actually starts with the final moment of Cavalleria Rusticana, in which a passerby screams, Hanno ammazzato compare Turidu. Someone has killed Turidu. Or, excuse me, Turidu has been killed. And there comes Mascagni's blasting finale, and then in comes Leoncavallo's prologue music, in which the set designs have been changed by a lot of people who are in charge of props, and it is changed to a darker, bleaker atmosphere. And then we still have Mama Lucia mourning over Turidu's corpse, and then we have Tonio, not in his clown mask, not in his clown costume, but his everyday civilian costume, singing the prologue. And once the prologue is finished, then Mama Lucia is basically dragged off stage. And then we see the same villagers from Cavalleria Rusticana, but this time with sunglasses. And I'm thinking to myself, that's quite interesting, yet it's quite weird because when I think of Pagliacci, I don't think of, well, passersby wearing sunglasses. I think of them wearing traditional Sicilian clothing. And we don't see like a huge carriage coming in, but rather a car, a small black car with Canio, Neda, Beppo, and Tonio, and we also see Silvio on the sidelines. And they're all dressed in black, which kind of signifies that they specialize in a lot of crime movies or something like that. Or they're basically a famous acting troupe who basically wear black in every single production that they're in. But I pretty much digress. But I think it's safe to say that this is basically like the time of the mafias and all of that, and they probably kind of dressed as though they came out of the set of the Godfather trilogy. And it's quite interesting because it does resonate with a little bit of that Italian flavor, but mostly in terms of pop culture, especially when it comes to Francis Francis Ford Coppola's classic The Godfather trilogy. I guess the way I see it, that's how they basically came off as, well, actors from the Godfather trilogy. But still, it's such an interesting production, and it does intertwine with the universe of Cavalleria Rusticana, in which they basically exist in the same universe. I mean, heck, we see a cameo by Mama Lucia in which she drags her cart, and then over there is the coffin of Turidu, and then we have some passers-by or people trailing behind her wearing black and mourning for Turidu. And I definitely thought that this actually is quite interesting because it's able to tie itself pretty well with the universe of Cavalleria Rusticana and the universe of I Pagliacci. So it's a very interesting production, though there are times that it's an acquired taste. Now, like I said before in my Cavalleria review, the singers are what really made the production very fantastic. And the same singer who sang Alfio is this time singing Tonio, Ivan Inverardi. I kind of have a hard time saying his family name, but I kind of get the hang of it. Just like his performance of Alfio, he still maintained his stentorian, very virile, very booming, very masculine, very testosterone laden voice, which he sings with such gusto and such abandon. And he's able to make Tonyo such an asshole that we'd probably like to hate, or shall we say, in specific terms, such a smug asshole. And I thought that Mr. Inverardi did such an amazing job portraying that type of smug nature that makes Tonyo very despicable, but quite fun of a character to see on stage, especially in the prologue. I thought he was able to bring all of that despicability and that type of vile nature that Tonyo has, even though he's a clown. And what's also quite wonderful was before he says La Commedia è finita, Stephen Gould, the Canio, finishes it for him. And I thought that was just so dramatic. And speaking of which, we have Stephen Gould as Canio. He was a vocal phenomenon. He was a vocal force of nature. His voice was extremely fantastic. It was an extremely explosive instrument that caught me on the edge of my seat. It's no wonder that he's been such a fantastic interpreter of Wagner and Strauss roles. Heck, I even have his autograph right here. And I know, right? True story, I was basically quite shy because I wasn't so sure of how the artists would have reacted if I wanted an autograph of them because I know that they also have such a busy schedule, but at least Mr. Gold was really nice to have signed this program, even though I was very shy and speaking in such a small voice, because here I was standing in front of such a magnificent artist, someone who was singing with such abandon and such guts and stamina that it was just so astonishing. And my god, did he deliver the goods as Ganyo. Heck, when he was finished signing my autograph and another female audience member came in to have her autograph signed, he also told us that he also sang a lot of some Italian roles as well, like Otello, for example. But he's basically well known for his Wagnerian repertoire. But seriously, I was extremely thankful to have gotten his autograph, and I seriously hope to hear more of him live. And it just really shows that he was such a fantastic artist, a fantastic interpreter with such a magnetic voice and such a magnetic stage presence. And just wow, but his voice was like a waterfall. It was like splashing and crashing in front of my face. That was just wow. That I just almost felt like I want more. I want more of that experience because, honey, life is too short to just sit in my couch and just wonder when the next thing's gonna happen. It just felt like such a roller coaster ride. And like I said, well, Steven, if you're watching this, I definitely love your portrayal of Ganyo. It was such a pleasure seeing you in that role. Your voice was basically like a huge waterfall gushing down and splashing in front of my face. It was such a thrill seeing you on stage, and I really hope to see more of you, whether I hear you on record or on YouTube or even on stage. I really, really wish the best for you. Kudos to you, Maestro Gold. I really hope the best for your future, and I hope that you have a long and fruitful career. Now, his neda for the evening was veteran soprano Inva Mula, who was very well known for singing the full lyric and coloratura soprano repertoire, just like her predecessors Anna Moffo, Montserrat Caballé, Renata Scotto, Ruth Ann Swenson, and many other singers of the past. Oh, and also Lela Kuberli, June Anderson, Cecilia Gastia, every other singer who sung both the lyric and some roles from the coloratura soprano repertoire. Here as Netta, I thought she was pretty good. I mean, she had such a weak start in her aria Qual fiamma veia nel guardo. I thought she was quite wobbly, but as the opera progressed, I thought she got better and better and better. I think she's really at her best when she sings softly, because when she sings all those high notes, there are times I do notice that she kind of has the tendency to push it. But when she sings softly, it sounds so ethereal, so beautiful. And as Netta, she was able to convey that type of youthful and kittenish nature that Netta has, but also the type of person who longs for freedom. And I thought Madame Mula did a magnificent job singing and acting as Netta. And then we have Silvio, who was sung by my dear friend Etienne Dupuis, who I also saw as Giorgio Germont from La Traviata. Here, I thought he was absolutely fantastic. He's still able to maintain that virile, sexy sounding, and just gorgeous baritone voice. And he's able to make Silvio so youthful and quite passionate, though he doesn't go over the top, which I'll have to commend him for that. I was able to really enjoy Mr. Dupuis as Silvio, and I'm sure that you're watching this too, Etienne. I definitely really love your singing voice, and I hope to see more of you live, because you're so magnificent as Silvio. You have such a magnificent voice, and definitely, I really hope to hear more of you. Kudos to you. And then we have Beppo, sung by Alvaro Zambrano, who is also Rustighello from Lucrezia Borgia. Now, I thought he was also a fantastic performer, even though he's singing such a small role. And he was able to sing with such a lyrical beauty in contrast to Mr. Gold's booming and commanding held and tenor voice. He has this light lyric and very elegant sounding bel canto technique tenor voice, which I absolutely admire. And it was just so gorgeous. And another note to make about the production as a whole. Now, in the end of the opera, not only do we have this dramatic moment in which at first Tonio says La Commedia Finita, but Canio cuts him and says La Commedia Finita, and Canio, Neda, Tonio, and Beppo walk out of the stage, and then we see Silvio dead, even though it's supposed to be Neda and Silvio dead. I thought it was kind of weird, but I thought it was quite dramatic and actually heightened the tension of this opera. So overall, just like its partner Cavalleria Rusticana, there was a lot of top tier singing, from the choir, a lot of top tier playing from the orchestra, and a lot of top tier conducting by Maestro Meister. This was absolutely an amazing evening. There were there were a lot of great singers all around, and I hope to hear and see more of them in the near future. And especially that of Walter Meyer, because my goodness, she is absolutely wonderful. And yeah, what more can I say with such a fantastic artist like her? And also Stephen Gould, who was absolutely phenomenal. Yes, everyone did their best, and everyone was just fantastic. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for my review of Massenet's Werther, which is live streamed from the Metropolitan Opera House starring Jonas Kaufmann and Sophie Koch. This will be shown at the Cubic Cinestar movie theaters in Alexanderplatz. Until then, this is Antoni signing off and wishing you all a good night.